Good afternoon, family and friends. I want to make a short video to show you what I'm going to take on the Appalachian Trail in a couple of weeks. This is going to be my winter gear as the weather warms up, maybe past the Smokies. I'm going to have some things shipped to me, some summer weight, sleeping bags and things. But for now, let's dive into my bag. I have it all packed. I'm just going to unpack things, tell you what I've got. Straight from the bag, we'll start on the outside with what I'm wearing. And then we'll move inside the bag. All right, let's dive right in. We'll start from the ground up with what I'm wearing, and then we'll move to the bag. First things first, I'm going to start with my shoes. This is the Anacapa Breeze. They're mid-tops. I have some issues with the tendons on the front of my feet that these help with a little bit. Once the weather warms up a little and my feet strengthen, I'll send these home, or they'll be worn out by then. And we'll get the speed goats, the Hoka speed goats, on the way down to me, along with some other warmer weather gear. But these are good. I've hiked a bunch with them around here. They're real lightweight. They're perfect. I ordered all the mid tops from Hoka and sent the ones back. These are the winners that felt great. So that's the first. Let's see. Then we go to the socks. We start with an NG toe socks. Everyone knows they work great. No blisters. I've done 3 trails so far, just getting ready for this week to 10 days. I did Mount Katahdin and at a lot of Baxter State Park. I did the Georgia section, the Appalachian Trail, and then recently I did the Ocean to Lake Trail here in South Florida. Goes from Hope Sound, Florida, on the ocean over to Lake Okeechobee. It's about 62 miles. 40 plus miles were underwater, ankle to knee deep, some over my knees. I wore the Ninja and my Darn Tough. These pair, this was it. I wore them for 5 days straight through the swamp. Feet were wonderful, no blisters, nothing, no problems. All right, and let's see, depending on how cold it is, we'll either wear shorts. These are Adidas, just some nice swim trunks. I'll wear those, or I'll wear some long pants. Underneath that, we have Zoe boxers. Also have some other boxers, depending, but actually those swimming trunks work great without anything under them. I did most of that wet trail, the Ocean Lake Trail, without anything under those. TMI, I know, but chafing was not an issue. It was great. Let's see, outside the socks, I forgot to mention I've got some Dirty Girl gaiters. They'll go over the boots or the mid-top sneakers. They'll go over top of that, keep some of the snow, some of the dirt out. These will probably come back home after a while. I don't have much problem with things getting in. I'm really bringing them in case I get some deep snow. Once the threat of deep snow is gone, I'll send a bunch of things back home. For shirts, I'll either wear a t-shirt, not a cotton one, but a nice sports t-shirt, or my Columbia. It's getting old now, old fishing, PFG, performance fishing gear that you'll see in the Ocean to Lake Trail. That thing works great. Roll the sleeves up, open it up, close it up, keeps the sun off. Even though I live in South Florida, where I'm always trying to dodge the sun, so I like to stay covered up a little bit, except for my head. Let's see, on top of that, if it's cold, I'll be wearing this fleece. It's an REI fleece with a through kangaroo pouch. Works great, keeps me toasty, even when it gets damp. Sometimes I just sleep in that, especially as it gets a little warmer and the sleeping bag's too hot. I just sleep in that and open the sleeping bag, and I'm all good. Or if I want to sleep out in the open with mosquitoes, I'll put a mesh net over my head and you'll see why I would need to do that. I don't have a tent in here, a traditional tent. Okay, next thing are hiking sticks, hiking poles. Wonderful, Walmart, Quest, 30 bucks probably. I don't know. They've been Katahdin, AT, Ocean to Lake Trail. They're a little on the heavy side. They work. They can hold my big butt off the ground. They've been tested quite a bit, so we'll use them. I did some 3D printing and printed some little brackets here to be able to put my cell phone on it if I want to use it as a selfie stick, or just to record in front of me. A lot of different things, or I can prop the phone on it, use it as an impromptu tripod. Just need to stick this in the ground or lean it against a tree. They work great. I also use them for my shelter, which we'll get into in a little bit. All right, the next thing, we've got this Gossamer gear. I believe it's 55 liter. It's a Gorilla. Works great. It's been on all the last 3 shakedown hikes with me. It does a wonderful job. It's just the right size. Fits everything I want in there and doesn't give me much room to to pack too much extra stuff in it. So let's just dive right in. Let's see, on the outside, we've got a water bottle on each side. This happens to be my drinking side. So I've got a drinking water bottle. Also keep in there, just for quick access, my gloves. Yeah, and those are 2 smart water bottles. I got my gloves, I've got some rain shells, and inside those I stuff some alpaca wool 5-finger mitts. Those work great. As soon as there's a chance of warmer weather or without sub-zero temperatures or sub-freezing temperatures, those will come home. I don't particularly like hiking in gloves. Once I go to Kiteline, I'll get some cheap workman's gloves at Home Depot or somewhere, just because the rock scurrying is rough on the hands. There, I don't mind using them, but generally I hike very hot. So t-shirt, shorts, down to the 30s or 40s, I'm good. You know, I'm well insulated. Once we wear off a little bit of the insulation, I'll have to go to warmer things. Try this out. That's a little system I use, just gravity feed, using this ever new 1 liter, 0.9 liter bag. Sawyer squeeze, the adapter to put it onto the bottle, my smart water bottle. I just attach this on the outside so I don't have to stop for very long. I just fill up the bag. If I don't need a lot of water, I'll just fill up the bag, stick it in here, let it filter while I'm walking, doing gravity feed. On that same side, that's the side I don't use a lot. We've got, that's the only towel I'm bringing. I've cut it in half. It's a pack towel, super light. I use to clean, wipe down my gear. Let's see, in there I've got my toilet kit. I don't have TP in there yet because I'm not leaving for a little while, but I've got my Deuce #1 trowel, the light one, some wipes. Next to it, I also have the little parts for the smart water bottles. I have the caps that'll be on those bottles. The bottles are open right now. I've got a couple of extra washers. I have some things I 3D printed just to plug up each end of it so that I can put it in my sleeping bag anytime it's going to be below freezing. In here also, I have a little screen in case, like on the Ocean Lake Trail, my filter was really clogged all the time because of the water. So I just have a little faucet screen from the garden hose. That'll filter out the giant stuff that tends to clog my filter fast. Not usually a problem on the AT, but it's there, it's light. I'll show you these 3D printed parts. They're just plugs. Little ways to hang my filter. That squeeze, it fits in perfect, and I've got a plug for the other end. Very, very simple. We'll see how much I use some of them. Once the chance of freezing's gone, some of this stuff will head back home too. Keep everything as light as possible. Of course, by then we'll have lost enough weight. Maybe a few ounces here and there don't really matter. I also 3D printed a little filter screen. I can put a piece of cloth in it. That acts like a large particle filter. And some of the smaller stuff if you use cheesecloth or something like that. Next, we've got my ditty bag. Notice I have everything in Ziplocs, or this is a Gossamer Gear bag that the pack liners came in, that one of them is in here. May go through this on a different video, but bottom line is I've got the microphone I'm wearing right here. It's the case and charging block for it. I've got this BioLite 10,000 milliamp hour battery. Works great. I don't do much. Short videos here just for my family and friends. 2 Type-C USB charging port. Let's see, I've got a little adapter to put into my iPhone so I can use a external 512 gig chip to put videos and pictures on. So the iPhone, when the iPhone gets blocked up, my cables for it all. And a BioLite rechargeable, red, white, flashing, SOS, all that good stuff. Works great. Pretty close to weight of the Nikkor, but maybe a couple of grams heavier, but it works. I've used it a lot, so I'm happy with it. The next item from the top, you see I just store all this in. It's kind of a brain, but it's not really. It's attached, it's sewed, it's not something you can remove. Works great. It's not waterproof, so that's why everything stays in bags. But anyway, this is the other little ditty bag. One thing I am taking that I do here in Florida is refill my gas canisters, refill them at hiker boxes. It's fairly easy. It's $10. It's light. KT tape to help with my ankle issues, my giant toothbrush, vitamin I, ibuprofen. Drink it by the gallon, unfortunately. I'm going to try to work through that and get over using it. I got a few Band-Aids, these little mini lighters, you know, one backup. I have one main. Then I just have tent repair items in here, tent and or tarp and sleeping bag and different little things, little pieces to do it. My toothpaste, I'll keep using these little tiny deals or find some of the tablets. I don't have the tablets, but sounds like a good idea. That's it for the top of the bag. One thing I have on the outside of the bag is my giant, if I hold it close enough, it's giant, my giant little Swiss Army knife. I may get one that has fingernail clippers on it and replace this one. It's a couple extra grams, but it saves me from carrying a separate set of fingernail clippers, just something else to lose. I also have this little REI Sun company. I guess REI has the same thing, but a little thermometer, just a little red liquid thermometer I'll carry on the outside. Give me an idea when it's getting close to freezing. I can make sure my electronics and my water go inside. I just clip it on the outside and it's always there. Let's see. Okay, everything else is going to come out of this pocket here. I'll set it down. Let's see. First thing we're going to pull out every day is my 10 by 10 tarp, sil nylon tarp, made by Pariah Gear. I doubt you'll be able to see it. You can see the backside, the white, very well, but the front, I don't think so. But anyway, it's 10 foot by 10 foot tarp. Works great. I'm going to do another video in the next couple of days showing the different setups I'll use on the tarp. I'll just do it here in the backyard. It's good practice for me, although I use it all the time. That's all I've done the last several hikes with. I love it. I just sleep underneath it with a couple other items until the mosquitoes show up, and then we get some bug protection on. With the tarp, I have a handful of stakes. In Florida, we have a lot of sand, of course, so I use some bigger stakes here, or else things, tents, tarps, whatever, blow away when you're not in it. So I'll take a couple of bigger ones till I'm real comfortable. I think I know what to expect. I've done the Georgia part, as I mentioned, so I generally know what I'm looking for here. But I also have these shepherd hooks, titanium. I have 8 of those. That's enough, generally speaking, for the way I set up the tarp. And I have some of the smaller little stakes. They work great. In there, I've got little tiny lines. They're reflective, wonderful at night to see your lines when you go out to chase the bear away or or to go to the restroom. And also in here, I have one larger line. You'll see it in the video for the tarp. I just have one larger line I'll use as a ridge line. I'm debating. I rarely actually use it as a ridge line. I usually just tie each end of the tarp, and I hang things from inside from little attachment points inside the tarp. But most of the time I don't hang anything. It's very simple. If I need something, I'll tie a little line between 2 trees, use it as a clothesline. Works great. Okay, in that same pocket, Tyvec, well used. It's been to Alaska a couple of times. It's been to Maine and Georgia AT. It's been everywhere for at least 10 years, and it's still strong. I did buy that plastic shrink wrap, window wrap, polycryo, and within a couple of days on the Florida Trail, every little straw, grass piece would poke through the bottom of it. So no thanks. I'll carry, this is 8 ounces. That polycryo for a large piece was 4 ounces. I'll carry the 4 ounces. I'll eat one less cheeseburger. We'll call it even. And that thing it's built for my Big Agnes tent, and I have it for the inside, the enclosed area, all of it underneath the rain fly, even for the little porch area to put my stuff and keep it all dry. It's done the trick for years and years. You recognize the frog togs? It's just the cheapos. I bought the gigantic size pants because anything smaller, and as soon as you bend over, they're ripped. These, I don't expect them to last all the way to Maine, but hopefully they'll act as a bit of a windbreak while it's still real cold out when I'm just around camp. During the day, I don't need them on my legs. I'd rather be a little chilly than too hot. Let's see, I think that's all down there. That's all on the outside. Oh, we got one little pocket. Of course, these little pockets on here, I usually have stuff full of snacks and treats and stuff. Not today. I don't have stuff yet. But what I do have in there is one little tiny piece of gear. It goes with the camera, which is my iPhone, the microphone, and I may or not bring it. Just a small little tripod. I've had it for years. Works great. Just for setting up, you know, when you feel like just talking on camera for a little bit and letting you guys know what I'm up to. It's a one-sided conversation, but that's okay. Some people that know me say that's all my conversations. So we'll see. Okay, before we dive into the top, let's look at one last feature on the Gorilla, on the Cosmic gear. We have a sit pad built in. It says these little ridges down the side act, it's like ventilation on your back. Works great. A lot of holes in it. Double it up, lay on it. I use it as a kneel pad when I'm getting in and out of that tarp. I do all kinds of just for breaks during the day. You can set it up like a seat against a rock, and your back and your rump are protected. Works great. All right, now let's dive into the middle. Okay, first thing first, I imagine for most people, is the food sack. Just have an Osprey bag. It's got the built-in loops and things for bear hangs. I do a PCT bear hang usually. I'm tall, it works. Not that I think short people can do it just fine too. Anyway, have a couple of carabiners built into it here. Inside, the first thing, I always have my line attached to it so that I can't lose it. It's just I'm a kiteboarder, so this is just some kiteboarding line from an old kite. Works great, doesn't chafe easily, it's waxed, works wonderful and very strong. It's too much, but I'll cut some of it once I get a better feel for hangs and bear boxes outside of Georgia. I only know Georgia well. I haven't hiked anywhere else on the AT except even in Kiteline. I went on the backside of Kiteline. I didn't go up to Able or Hunt Trail or anything. Let's see, next thing, let's see, in the food bag, we've got 5 days of food. I'm not gonna bore you with all what's in there for food. Only one luxury item I'm taking for food. I don't know if you can see all the beehives back here. They're real small, I'm sure, on the camera, but I'm a beekeeper for fun. And I just have some of my honey I harvested a couple months ago. I'm gonna bring one bottle. We'll see. It's about 8 ounces, 8 or 9 ounces, maybe a pound. This might be a 1 pound jar. Someone else's jar, not my own jar, but it's the only small one I had. So that's my luxury item. I like to take a little 1 or 2 tablespoons a day. Tastes wonderful. Mix it in my coffee, just straight from the bottle, whatever. Let's see. All right, cooking. I have 750 milliliter toques, titanium. Little handles, one little lid. Everybody knows this one. I do something a little different. I keep the bag inside it because then I have my fuel, stove, and main lighter. The stove is a fire maple, little tiny 1 ounce thing or less than, I don't know. It's light and it's like a rocket when it's when you have it on. It works wonderful. The fuel, of course, I just have in here for the video. This will stay here. I'll stop by REI in Sandy Springs, Georgia, at the end of the MARTA trail line, or one out. I'll pick up 2 4-ounce cans of fuel, and I'll just use one till it's completely empty. Start using the other one. Next hostel, I'll either refill or buy a new one, depending on what options there are in the hiker box. And we'll just keep doing that, hopping down the trail, and that should be enough. It's super light. Cooks anything I'm gonna cook. It's the typical ramen and Mountain House, and you know, it's the other thing that's in there. Titanium spoon. Got a little carabiner on there. I actually keep that on the outside of my pack. Normally, I may not keep it in there. Let's see, got some tuna, mashed potatoes, lots of granola bars, and electrolyte substitutes. Works great. Oatmeal. There's very few things. I'm not a picky eater. You don't get this big. You know, I'm 6'1", almost 6'2", 230 or 240. I can get up to 245. Hopefully by the end of this trail, I'll be a little less than that. But you don't get that big, being too much of a picky eater. Next thing, in the bag. Coming out of the bag. You see the bag liner here? So inside that, I have my inflation bag for my sleeping mat, which doubles as my clothes bag. It also doubles as a pillow if my inflatable pillow gets a hole in it. So inside here, we've got the extras, the other goodies. It's just Thermarest pump sack. It takes 4 or 5 pumps. I have the little Flextail, but I did the trades and said, you know what, this one has at least 3 uses. The Flextail has a couple. I love it. I use it on short hikes, but it's noisy, and I need as light as possible within reason. I'm no ultralighter here. I'm right at 15 pounds base weight with this. And then whatever food and fuel I bring along is just added to that, of course, and water. And I'm hoping this time of year to bring carry a half a liter, and camel up at each water stop. So very little water. And food, I'm just starting off with about 1.5 pounds per day to start with until I build up some hunger. Okay, inside this is sleeping clothes or extra warm weather clothes, some long johns, just the bottoms. I have enough layers for the top. There's my puffy. Let's see, a big Agnes. Very, very simple, extremely light, no drawstrings, but a real good fit on it. Some good pockets on the outside. Also, I have the pockets on the inside, which are critical on those sub-freezing days where I need to bring my water filter and electronics inside a shirt, keep them from freezing up during the day. All right, let's see. We've got a t-shirt here. I think that should be a walking ad for REI. It's an REI synthetic t-shirt. Pretty soon that's probably all I'll be hiking in. So let's see. Ex Officio boxers. Not my style, but they're very comfortable. I actually don't do well hiking in them. I just really comfortable to sleep in though. Let's see, another pair of Darn Tough. So that should get me there between those two. I have 2 pairs of socks, one for hiking, one for sleeping. Something happens to the ones I'm hiking in, I'll switch to the other ones and sleep in the ones that are damaged until I can get them replaced. Understand it's sometimes tough to get them replaced on this hike because so many hikers coming through. It's hard for the local mom and pop shops to replace them. Let's see, LL Bean. These are ones I picked up after Kiteline when I had no clean clothes to fly home in. I just picked up a pair of LL Bean at the outlet. They're nylon, very light, pockets on it. They're comfortable. I can hike in them all day long. They get wet, they dry immediately. Next thing, sleeping mat. Sleeping mat. Let's see what we've got. We've got a Thermarest NeoAir X-Lite NXT. When I first got it, I used it for a few trips now, but it's slippery. Not on the Tyvec, but when I use that polycryo, this thing was slid all over the place. Or inside a bivvy that I use sometimes in mosquito country, I was sliding all night. So I did what any normal thru hiker would do. And also my pillow was never under my head. On my Thermarest air mattress, with the pillow sliding all over the place and the actual air mat sliding all over the polycryo ground sheet that I used for a couple of hikes, I did what a lot of people do. Added some Aquasil. This I used Aquasil plus FD. I put some stripes right about my head area. I don't know if that shows up on there. The shiny stuff up here. Works amazing. Well, I did the same thing. I just ran them vertically on the backside, all the way up and down. Just thin lines. It had very little weight. I used less than a tube of this little small tube. That's less than an ounce. Worth it because, as you know, sleep is critical out there. This was tough as I was moving so much each night trying to get my pillow back or get my mat squared away. Actually, on the Tyvec, it doesn't slide as much, so this should stick like super glue now. Anyway, that's it for that. I think we have just one more thing in here. One of the big 3 here, the sleeping bag REI Magma 15 degree. The tag does say that it is comfort to 28 degrees Fahrenheit, thermal limit 16 degrees, and below that's a risk. So should be great. This is the one. I love it. Works great. Extremely light. Down. Gets huge when it's out here in the air and packs down tiny. So I do love it, but as soon as it's like in the 50s or higher, I'm going to send it back and bring a lighter sleeping bag with me. It's really a Sea to Summit liner. It's the yellow one they use, the down one. Works great though, and as hot as I am, it works fine down to 50 and lower. And if it goes into the 40s, I just put my puffy jacket on, or a fleece, or my long johns on the bottom or socks, or I just add a couple layers. But hot is the problem I have. That's why I'm leaving in the middle of February. It's a lot better for me. I think that's everything that I've got. Anyway, I look forward to starting the hike. I'll post a video soon of the tarp setups. And as you can see, I've been preparing for a long time. I don't know, since Thanksgiving, trying to keep my face warm. My head will be fine, either with, I don't have a skull cap. I do use it sometimes, but everything I own here has hoods on it. So just in the weight savings theme here, I'm gonna leave it. I've got enough other head protection. And I am not a cold person at all anyway. Can't stand the heat. And if you can't tell, here in sunny South Florida, water's behind me. It's 80 out right now. So I don't know how I ended up here. I think it's career, and I love the ocean. But anyway, talk soon.